Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of The Bader Show. I'm your host, Mark Bader. This is episode 473. We're almost a conference tournament. College season is we're running out of time. We're getting to the good part. Today's guest, he's the head coach at Columbia University, two-time NCAA champion, world bronze medalist. Please welcome Donny Pritzlaff. Donny, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you bet. All right, first order of business has nothing. I called your phone yesterday. You didn't answer, but I heard your voicemail. Have I been pronouncing your name wrong? Is it Pritz-laugh? I swear your
Yes,
voicemail said this is Donny Pritzlaff, and I always thought it was
yep.
Pritz-loff.
Yeah, no, I say Pritz-laugh. Yep. That's what it is.
Okay, okay, folks. Everybody,
Maybe someone
obviously.
in my family can correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure I always said Pritz-laugh.
Yeah, I think you would know. That's okay. So that changes everything. It doesn't really change anything, but I always thought it was Pritz-loff. Everybody I talked to always says Pritz-loff, so it's like laugh, ha ha ha, Pritz-laugh, and that's actually how it's
Yeah. Yeah.
spelled. All right, now that we got that taken care of, man, a great season. You guys are doing really well. You won the Ivies. I want to talk about a lot of that, but I kind of want to back up. This is your second year as head coach at Columbia, and I just want to the first season, right? Like the goal is to do as well as you can and to win, but I'll just from my own experience, I was at a program at Missouri when Brian Smith first came in, so something similar was a new coach trying to do his thing, and looking back, it seemed like his goal or one of the things he wanted to accomplish that year was just to create a culture. And maybe it's different situations. Half the team got ran off back then, and Missouri and Columbia are different schools, but build a culture, work hard, kind of get all that set. And then a little further down the line, it was getting better recruits. But it really felt like that first year, that was what he was trying to do. And I'm curious what were you trying to accomplish for the first year? What was the biggest order of business?
Yeah, of course. I think, anytime you're coming into a new program, you want to establish your mentality and the culture within the group. Last year, our senior group, they'd been there obviously under a different staff. So, getting them to trust us and realize that, we had their best interest in mind, and we weren't just coming here as, a bunch of crazy guys that wanted to only focus on winning wrestling matches. There's a lot more to it, helping them out upon graduation and all those kind of things that are really important at Columbia. Last year we only had one senior starter, so everybody else was younger. So it was a little different. The leadership part of it wasn't as good as we have it this year. Just talent wise, it wasn't the same with the senior class. This year, senior class, we have a lot more talented guys that are contributing to the overall success of the program, not just within the culture. But I definitely think those guys that were seniors last year, they did a great job of making sure that the younger guys saw that, listen, these guys know what they're doing. They understand what this program's about, and that they want to build on what was already here. So I think that was probably one of the best things that we had going for it, because your culture is great if you're preaching about it all the time and you're talking about it, but if the guys aren't following through with what you're trying to build, then that could be a problem, right? So um, I really feel like last year's senior class did a good job of setting the stage for the younger guys. Like, listen, these guys, they're solid. They listen to these guys. They're going to help you, and they're gonna build you into better wrestlers and better people.
Sure. As you're going through your first season, right, you probably have a plan of this is how we're going to approach things. And at some point, things pop up that are unexpected, right? And coaching in the Ivies is probably different from the schools you've been at in the past. Did you ever have to adjust mid-season or make adjustments and be like, all right, we thought we were going to do this, but actually we're gonna go this way instead?
No, not really. Not in my first season. I felt like we talked a lot about being ready for the NCAA championships. Getting into it was the first year of the Ivy championship, right? That's our qualifier, and getting to the point where we're close to peaking for the qualifier, and then punching as many guys as we could get through into the NCAAs. And we made it very clear to the entire team that the most important time of year for us is March. right? So, the dual meets are important. We want to win every duel we're in, and compete and beat a lot of good individuals. But that's all setting you up for the championship part of the season, because that's really what everybody is their careers are based on, how they do at the NCAAs in Cleveland this coming March. So, that's kind of been the tone all year long. Obviously, we've had some good success with a lot of these dual meets, and we've done well. But really, the meat of the season is starting, uh, in 2 weeks basically.
Yeah. Um, Looking back at your first season, well, first of all, just like how would you describe the culture today? What's the culture of your program if you had to describe it or
I would say
explain
it's
it?
a professional, tough mentality, right? So these guys are super professional off the mat. They have internships. They're going in between classes and meeting with different people in New York City and around the tri-state area to set themselves up for life after wrestling. So they're super professional, and they're hard-nosed wrestlers. They're it's Ivy League, and I still think that these guys are as tough as any other guys in all the other conferences. So, they work really hard at setting themselves up for when it's time to go into their career. And then they also, when they're in the room, they're super serious about getting better and learning positions and learning wrestling and being tough, hard-nosed wrestlers.
Sure. Looking back at last season, what was what was a high point? What was some of the highlights, things that stand out when you're like, man, my first season, we did this, this, and this well, or these moments.
Yeah, I would say last year, Jack McGill was a senior for us last year, and he had never started. He was never a starter or a routine starter, right? So, he ended up starting the whole year, and he ended up qualifying for the NCAAs. It was his first time out there, so I think that was probably a highlight for him. Getting five guys to the NCAAs our first year when we didn't really have guys ranked in the top 33 most of the whole year, whether it was on, the flow rankings or Intermat once the coaches poll came out, we went into the Ivies and we had to steal a bunch of spots. So, getting five guys through was an accomplishment for the program, but they know that can't be the standard. We're looking for all Americans at the NCAAs.
Sure. Headed into this season, um, I mean, you said it. The goal and the meat of the season is coming up. It's March basically, but the season's really important, and the Ivy, I'm guessing, is something for you guys that's important. Did was that a goal? Like, hey, we want to win Ivies this year, or did that just kind of happen?
They definitely had a team goal of being 2026 Ivy champs. It was up on our whiteboard in our room. We have the banners up there that had the four previous years that we had won it. And these guys, they wanted that, and of course, we want to push them for what they want. They have to drive the program as well. As much as we're coaches and we're leaders and we're trying to get them to perform at the highest level they can. They wanted that. They understood that it was important for all our alumni, all our fans, and they wanted to go out as Ivy champs. And I think our job now as coaches is to redirect them and have them understand, like, yes, this is great, but now we have the Ivy championships that we're hosting at Columbia on March 8th, and that turns out to be the most important thing, other than Bucknell this Sunday.
Sure. Okay. Excellent. Look, the Cornell match. I think you guys. I don't know. It was 30 or 40. It was some crazy. You guys hadn't beat them forever, right? Going into that
Yeah.
match, knowing. I don't know. Explain to me how you felt, how the team felt, what the tone was. Like, did you guys walk in and say, "We're gonna do this"?
Well, I think early in January we got going. We were really disappointed as a program going on winter break, and you know losing to Ryder, beating Clarion, losing to Ryder, and then everybody's gone for break, right? So we didn't. It was like a bad taste in our mouth, and then we get back in January and we started pushing really hard. The guys were right back to work and back to business, and they're off of school, so it's kind of nice. You have a little extra time with them to do some extra workouts and some extra things, and just a little more where we can just totally solely focus on wrestling and training. And then we started to build some momentum, and then Princeton, Penn on the road, we wrestled well both of those matches. The guys started to, I think, get some momentum, and then going up to the Cornell, we felt like, this should be a program we got to get after them. We're gonna have to get after them, and everybody has to do their job, and we're gonna have to do some things that people don't expect us to do. We're gonna have to win some matches that we're not expected to win. But I really felt like, as this year has progressed, these guys have really began to believe in themselves more and more. And really, that's all you can ask for as a coach. You want these guys taking the mat and expecting to win, and expecting to fight through positions, and expecting to get guys worn down and expose them. And, I felt like we did a really good job in a lot of different areas in that match, and guys are scoring bonus points. Guys are, fighting for points when they're losing or they're down. So I don't necessarily think like we went in there like, oh, we're gonna win. But I do feel like we had confidence and we had a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, and these guys wanted to get the job done.
Sure. So that obviously I'm sure was a big moment. But if you look at the rest of this season, the 25-26 season so far, what other moments stand out to you as big and impactful moments?
Um, hmm. Well, I think, last year when we went out to Vegas, we were super disappointed. We didn't have a guy wrestle on the second day. So we didn't have a guy make it to the second weigh-in, right? So it's a 2-day tournament. It's a tough tournament.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. The Cliff Keen invite's always a tough tournament. But I remember meeting with the team that night in the hotel, and I was like, we're in uncharted territory here. I've never been at an event where we weren't competing in the second day. I mean, this is craziness. I just I I didn't know what to say. So we I give the guys a lot of credit for the team last year. They they took that to heart, and they finished strong throughout that throughout the finality of the year. I mean, these guys, they got after it, and they kept pushing, and we ended up with a good amount of qualifiers. So um we wanted to go back there. We wanted to go back there, and we had four guys make it to the second day this year, so which was pretty cool. We were a little shorthanded. We only entered seven into the tournament, but 4 out of 7 made it to the second day. So that was like a turning point. I think the guys really felt like, okay, this is a little bit of an accomplishment. It's not much, but it's a little bit of an accomplishment, and they really started to gain traction from that. So, the seniors they've had a lot of good moments. Both of our captains, Caesar and Nick, they've done some really special things. Keeping the guys together. So, they're really special guys, and I think they're super proud of being Ivy champs. It's a really big deal in the Ivy League to win that title. These guys are forever. They're going to be heroes around here because we got that done. And we have a lot more to do, and we want to do it, and we're focused on doing it. We're back in there getting after it already, but they have a lot to be proud of. But I would say, like, a highlight, obviously beating Cornell. That was super exciting. We had fans in the crowd, and guys that are alumni that had tears in their eyes because they never thought that Columbia would beat Cornell while they were still alive. So that was a really, really cool moment. So it's exciting. It's exciting. 40 years they hadn't done it, and it feels really good. It feels like we accomplished some things, but obviously you're always greedy, and you always want more, and we're thinking, what's the next thing we have to do? What's the next thing we can do? And how can we get better? And we want these guys to feel like that in life too. You never be satisfied. There's never a time to rest and be satisfied. You always got to be pushing for more. And that's what we're getting these guys focused on and getting them on track right now to do.
I love it, Donnie. You get me freaking fired up. So your staff, you got Sebastian, who is he still competing? I assume. I know he wrestled in the Worlds last year.
Yes. Yeah. He's in there banging every day with the guys and every weight class and every guy, and he's pushing hard, and he'll transition probably back to all freestyle once we get through NCAAs, and then we can start focusing on him a little bit more. And then he's in there, but wrestling probably more than he will when he's training, just because
Sure.
he's a body for these guys and giving them a feel and everything. And then Billy Janzer, who wrestled for me at Rutgers, and then he was coaching at Citadel last year. Now he's with us, and then obviously the legendary Jeff Buxton.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you typically run practice? Do you guys switch it up, or how are the dynamics in the room?
Yeah, I would say myself and Jeff are running a lot of things. Billy and Sebastian are mostly working with the guys, doing individual work with the guys, doing a lot of the wrestling training with the guys as well. And Jeff's his eye for wrestling and his eye for detail is amazing. So, he's doing a lot of individual work as well and moving around the room. And I'm running a good portion of the workouts as well, and then also a little bit of wrestling for me every once in a while. But
I
we're
still want to
fortunate.
know.
We have we have the RTC too. We have the RTC with Kendall and Bo and some of the other guys that are in the RTC that are coming around and training with our guys. So that's nice too. And the funny thing is, I hired Billy Janzer, and I think he was on the job like 3 days, and then Jeff, Sebastian, and myself left to go to the World Championships. And I was like, "Hey, Billy, here you go. The program's yours. take care of it. Take care of everything for the next couple weeks." And
Oh,
so, but now Billy's an awesome guy. He's a guy that I trust I trust him with my life. So, we drive into work, and sometimes he drives into work together every day. And I trust him to do just about any task I could ever imagine in the whole world. So, we're super fortunate to have him around us, and our guys are fortunate as well to have Jeff and Sebastian as leaders and wrestling minds, and it's an amazing thing to watch how we all work together and bounce things off each other. And it's been a lot of fun, and just every day we're excited to come into work, and to see Jeff, what he does at his age is amazing. And he's still able to relate to young kids that are just starting their wrestling careers, and to senior level guys like Sebastian, that are, still trying to figure out how to win an Olympic gold medal. So um, it's a great dynamic and a great mix of guys. And, I'm super fortunate to have these guys in my life.
it's an all New Jersey. Is it an all New Jersey staff? You guys all from Jersey?
Well, Jeff technically is from Rhode Island. He
He's from Blair.
but then he was at Blair. Yeah, so he's lived in Jersey, I think, longer than anywhere else. But he's technically from Rhode Island. But yeah, Blair. I mean, everybody
He's a
thinks
Jersey
Jeff
guy.
Buxton. Yeah, yeah. Blair Academy is a Jersey guy, but we're all Hoboken guys now.
Okay, so you live out in Hoboken. I knew last time we talked was maybe a year and a half
Yeah,
ago. You were still living out in wherever closer to
I was in
Rutgers. I think your
Westfield. Yeah,
daughter was finishing high school, I think,
yep.
and you guys are waiting
Yeah, yeah.
on.
My daughter graduated. She's at SMU now. So my younger daughter dances in the city quite a bit. So Hoboken made much more sense. So we're all in Hoboken. We're all within a few blocks of each other. So that's kind of cool. We usually
Yeah.
carpool in together just about every day. It's good. It's a really good setup. And then most of our RTC guys are all in Hoboken as well. We're fortunate to have the Barry family really helps us out with a lot of different things, and housing's one of them, and we're very grateful. They've been awesome to us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you need coaches, you need bodies, but it's no secret you need money and resources to win, right? Like
Yeah,
at the highest level, it doesn't matter what you got. So that's great. I'm glad you guys get to have that. Looking ahead, right? Do you guys have any more duels? I didn't actually look at your schedule. Or are you all
yeah.
done?
We have Bucknell on Sunday, Senior Day
Oh, you said
Sunday
that.
at home. Yeah, we had gone out there last year, and then obviously they kind of did us a favor. We're wrestling a little earlier in the day, but they were there's you know how schedules go. Just
Uh,
trying to get the the back and forth matches, and then some regional rivalry type stuff, but they helped us out coming back out for our final duel of the year Sunday at noon, and then we start getting ready. We're hosting the Ivies this year too.
Oh, excellent. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I guess to that, right? You got IVs, you got NCAA's. Like, did you guys, or are there like concrete goals that we've set as the team, or expectations, best case scenario? What are you hoping to see between IVs and NCAA's? We're not going to have 10 NCAA champs, but
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
realistic?
Yeah. I think obviously we're focused on remaining healthy, right? We talk about health constantly because the healthiest team at the end of the year has the best opportunity to be the national champion, right? So um, we've talked so much all year about maintaining your health, making sure your injuries are minor, and then anything that you can basically do to make sure that you're healthy come championship time. You are right. So health has been a big part of that. We're getting healthier as we're getting into this stretch. We have to remain that way. Sunday at Bucknell is a huge match for a bunch of individuals to help them get further into the meat of that top 33, right? So then you're qualifying a weight, and then you have a little bit more of a buffer zone come Ivy championships, right? And then, we want to get all 10 guys through. We want to find a way to get all 10 guys, 10 national qualifiers. I think that would be a huge spring for our program, double up what we had last year. And we want to have multiple All-Americans, right? We've talked about that from the beginning. The first day I had a meeting with the team back when I started almost 2 years ago was we want to have multiple All-Americans every year, right? And that should be the goal, right? We get into March, All-Americans, right? All-Americans. And ultimately, we want to have our first ever national champion, right? The best we've ever done, we've had a third place finisher, right? So we want to have our first ever individual national champion. That's a program goal, right? And these guys have done well this year. I think they can kind of sense that, we're on the brink of doing some special things. So, I think I think we're in position to accomplish a lot of those things that we set out, right? So I'm excited for it. I think these guys are really excited. They're motivated. We have a lot of momentum just because of when you win, you gain momentum, you gain traction, and people are excited. A lot of people that we've never even bumped into before, or in all these cavernous hallways that we have at Columbia. Like, oh wow, wrestling, you guys are doing pretty good. So it's kind of nice. So we're getting a little bit of feedback from people. So if that's used the right way, then we'll keep the momentum going, and these guys are gonna have a successful run in Cleveland, and that's what we want.
Yeah, like looking long term, I guess you said we want a national champion, right? Like, what's
Mhm.
realistic as far as a team, right? A team title, a top 10, a trophy, like what's realistic in the long term?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm always a person like I always think I'm gonna win, right? I never would go into any scenario thinking that there wasn't a way for me to find a way to win, right? So, um, realistically, college wrestling is very different now, right? So Columbia Wrestling has never been in the top 25. They've never finished in the top 25 at the NCAA championships. So, um, cracking that top 25, cracking that top 15, getting into the top 10, I think it's building, right? You don't just all of a sudden just like find your way into the top five or top and top four to get a trophy. So, but I do feel like we have the right personnel, the right coaching staff, a great amount of supporters that put a lot of resources into our program. We should be thinking about being like Cornell is. Cornell's the standard in the Ivy League. They have won team trophies before. You go into their facility, you see them right there. Our guys walked right by them. They saw them. If Cornell can do it, why shouldn't we be able to do it? It's not like it's an impossible feat, right? So, I think it's getting the guys to believe that we can do it. So I think a team trophy is something that Columbia Wrestling should be striving to achieve.
That's awesome. Yeah, and when I wrote this question down. Cornell was in the back of my head as like an example, like a program that's similar, IV, similar resources. So yeah, I think that's possible, and I'm excited to see you guys take the steps to try to get there. Okay, I got a few kind of other things to ask. This one's like AI. It's AI is a thing, right? It's only gonna get into our lives more and more. Do you use AI for your job in any way whatsoever at all?
For my job,
Or if you could design an AI tool that could help you with your job, what would you build?
I think you could do. AI could be helpful, possibly recruiting. If you could build some programs for us too. A lot of the recruiting is evaluating transcripts, right? So we're when I was coaching at Rutgers, when I was at Michigan and Wisconsin, right, and Hofstra, a lot of it was like talent based, right? You recruit based off of talent, right? And where guys were qualifying, and then the transcripts were also important, but here the academic piece is so important. So if there was like an AI tool that maybe had some type of way that it could show you
Filter.
the if what's like a filtering system that could say, yeah, this person's index is going to be at this level, and they help with the class, and they're also a good 157 pounder, 165 pounder, something like that.
Okay. I like it. We'll talk to somebody. This honestly, I don't know how to make any of this, but that doesn't seem far fetched. Like with the way
Yeah.
technology is moving and AI is moving, like I don't know, before the next Olympics, that could be like realistically be a thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
probably the hard part is like AI can only do what is in the system, right? So
searchable.
people would have to
Yeah.
be they'd be uploading their information, and maybe some people wouldn't want to share all that stuff. So
Well, anything's possible. Maybe somehow it can like sneak
yeah,
in and I don't know.
yeah, probably could.
Literally anything's possible with what's going on. Okay, I got a couple more things. This one, I got a game I started like playing. It's called Sweat It Out. This is 5
Sweat
questions,
it out.
Donnie. I'm gonna try to make you sweat.
Okay.
Ready? All
Yep.
right. Question number 1. Of the schools you've coached at, Wisconsin, Hofstra, Michigan, Rutgers, Columbia, I think that's all of them. Which one
Yep. That's
has
it.
the most students?
The most students, Wisconsin.
Rutgers has 68.9 thousand students. This is undergrad and postgrad. But this is according to Wikipedia. I had no idea. I thought it was way smaller, but
I thought, well, you got to be more specific with that question.
I just said students at the school. Don't you get mad at me because you got it wrong. And actually, Michigan has more than Wisconsin. So either way, sorry, Donnie.
Oh,
Oh
so I was
4.
actually third place. Third place.
Yeah, third place. Okay, next question number 2. Which Ivy League, distance-wise, is the closest to Columbia?
Distance wise, mileage or just like distance, like bird's
According
eye,
to Google
birds.
Maps. No, Google Maps if I'm going to drive or take a train or whatever, however it told me to get there. But it showed
Princeton.
miles. Princeton, yes, that
Princeton.
is correct. Princeton, 61 miles. Yale, 75. Who was the first All-American ever at Columbia University?
Mm. Dave Goldie.
Bob
No, he
Hartman.
was the second. He was it. Yes,
What? Who was the second?
Dave Goldie was the second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I looked at the National
Bob
Wrestling
Hartman
Hall
was
of
the
Fame.
first. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah,
He
yeah, yeah.
was
You're right. You're right.
4th place at 137 in 1951. All right,
Yep.
let's switch this one up. Freestyle men's world championships this past year in 2025. Senior men's freestyle world championships. How many gold medals did the U.S. have?
3.
Yes, we got Zahid, Trent Hidley, and Kyle
Yep.
Snyder.
Yep.
Okay, and finally, sticking with men's freestyle world championships, going back to 2006, you were bronze medalist. How many medals were on that team? How many people earned medals on that team?
In that year, just in that year.
That in 2006, that team, men's freestyle.
5.
Four. Wait, what? I want to
4.
mention four, right? It was
Yep. Yep.
Sammy Henson, Mike Zadek, Bill Zadek, and yourself. Does that sound right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay,
4 out of
Donnie, I
7.
think
Yeah.
you were. Yeah. Okay. And this, I think you were 3 out of 5. So better luck next time.
That bad?
Okay. It's like pass fail. Maybe I guess you passed. All right. This
All
one,
right.
Donnie. And I've been saying this for a while. I don't know if I did this one with you a long time ago, but it's called wins and whoopins. Like your whole entire career, you as a
Mm-hmm.
competitor. I just think back to one win that stands out. It could be your a biggest win. It could be a kids club win. It can be like a comeback, just something that stands out. Like, man, that was a memorable win. And then one
Yeah.
whooping. Everybody's just taking a whooping at some point in their career. Even the greats like Donny Pritzlaff. Sometime you got your ass kicked, I'm sure. So let's hear about one whooping and one win, and you can do either one first.
Does it have to be a match? Because I got beat up in practice a few times
Let's hear
pretty
it. Let's
bad.
go. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say Sean Bourmet and Terry and Troy Steiner. We would do some goes together at Wisconsin when I was in college, and I took some beatings from those three.
Yeah, those are
So,
good guys to take beatings
yeah,
from.
probably much more, and long practices too. Long practices, so much more than just a freestyle 6 or 7 minute college match. So, I
Okay.
remember those type of workouts where I took some beatings, a lot more than just one match.
All
So,
right.
but
Who was worse? Go ahead.
I will say, losing in the Olympic trials to Askren, that was hard for me.
Yeah,
That was something that I always remember, and it was something that it's as a senior level competitor, you want to be on the Olympic team and win an Olympic medal, and losing and not having that opportunity, that was hard.
sure. Yeah. They always remember the losses always seem to stick out more than the wins. With everybody, I do this too. They're
Yes,
always lost.
yeah,
I got it. The win, I got to think. But let's hear about a win.
a win. I'll say the bronze medal match in '06. I beat Murad. Forget his name. He's Belarus guy. Um, Crazy match. He was trying to gouge my eyes out, and I think that was an exciting moment for me. And my wife was there. She hadn't really watched me wrestle ever in college or anything, and that was exciting moment for her to be there. And then my cousin Glenn was there with his wife Jamie, so it was really cool. And my mother-in-law and her sister. So it was a great moment. Just I remember being really excited about that. Because having your family there and seeing it
Yeah,
all, and at that point, college is over, and you're kind of like a person like trying to transition maybe to be a real grown up and everything. And
yeah,
it was still, I felt like a kid again.
that's awesome. He was trying to gouge your eyes. Like, tell me about this match.
Yes.
Like how you kept your composure. If you got pissed and wanted to punch him, or I don't know.
Yeah, obviously I was angry, because he'd gouge me and then shoot, that was like one of
Yeah,
his big things that he did. He'd gouge me in the eyes and then shoot. And I'd wrestled him a few times before that, and I just knew I couldn't buy into the fighting part of it. He was starting to get really fatigued and worn down, and if I lost my composure, I was gonna be put myself in bad position and not find a way to win that match, so. And I remember Cormier telling me, like, if you're in this bronze medal match, you have to win. You don't want to leave the world championships without a medal. He's like, and you have to keep your composure. And at that time you wrestled everything in one day, so there's no time to really recover it all. You just had to keep going. And that was the fifth match of the day, and I could tell he was feeling it, and he was trying to pull any trick he could to win. So I was able to stay calm and just execute, and find a way to win.
That's awesome. And it's interesting, right? You're like, my wife came and she'd never really seen me wrestle. Like that's a product of '06. Like today, it's on Flow, it's on
Yeah,
ESPN, it's on YouTube. It's just like it's so crazy. Like I'm in the world championships. My wife's never seen me wrestle. Seems like a foreign
yeah,
concept. But
yeah. I
funny.
know
And
it was crazy. But now it's like everything you can see everything, and it wasn't
yeah,
it's 20 years ago,
yeah. 20 years from now is gonna be even
but
crazier. Um,
yeah,
okay, that was Wednesday. We'll talk about this one. This one we could just call all-time favorite. Donnie, who's your all-time favorite wrestler?
all time favorite wrestler,
Gotta pick one.
Arsen Fitzayev.
All right, that's fair. What'd you like about him?
um, I liked how I mean I modeled my whole wrestling style pretty much after him. So just the way he was able to his single leg, he was so technical and strong and basic, but he made basic wrestling to me feel like really cool and exciting.
Heck yeah, it's freaking awesome. And really, that's gonna kind of bring us down to the line. Man, I'm just super impressed. You know, like year and a half in, you guys win the Ivies. And more than anything, it's that's the tone you're setting, the expectations. Like we want 10 qualifiers, we want All Americans, we want national champs. You're like setting the bar like whoosh, super high, and
Yeah,
everybody get up here. Or we're not trying to get up in the bar, go somewhere else. So, um,
yeah,
one other thing I'm kind of thinking about is just like the setting of New York City. It's not Madison. It's not,
yeah.
it's way different. Does that impact or play a role? Maybe not at all. And just like the logistics of the day and getting around the city, does that? By the time you get to the room, wrestling's wrestling, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's different. I grew up here though. I grew up 10 miles from New York City, so this is like very familiar to me. I will say, it is sometimes it's challenging, recruiting people because, everybody sees the media and New York's crazy and all this and everything, but
Yeah.
it's a lot different when you get here and see it and the neighborhoods and how everything's set up. So it's like small little communities all in this giant craziness. But I love it. I love the action. I love the energy. Um, there's there's so much to do around here. There's so much access to the world here, right? So if you're someone that wants to be working on Wall Street, working as a lawyer, working in any type of firm or anything that you want to do. I mean, you have access to that here. So I think the opportunities are endless. And I love that because, this is what I was always familiar with. Right. And it's exciting to drive in every day. And, we're going through the tunnel and then you pop out and the next thing you know is Empire State Building, the whole skyline is crazy. And, we're in Hoboken. We're super fortunate because we can see Manhattan way better than the people in New York can see it because they're all getting blocked off by buildings. So we walk to the water. Maybe you jump on the ferry, take it over across the river, and you see this beautiful view of Manhattan, and then you're right in the mix of it. And I love the energy of the city. It's not for everybody, but it's the access is amazing. So I love it here. I don't think it really as far as like changing our day and everything, and it's very different than like being in Madison, Wisconsin, right? Traffic is not going to be crazy and you have to leave at a certain time to go different places, but um other than that there's really not there's nothing that can hold you back here. I mean, there's only access and only opportunity. So um I think that's our job as coaches in our program to sell that to recruits and get people to want to come here and at least check it out and see what our program's all about. And like you said, a wrestling room in New York City compared to a wrestling room in any other part of the country, it's the same, right? You got the people in there and the mats, and it's really about the people that are in there and the guys that are training you and the guys you're working with and the people that you're trying to aspire to be.
Excellent. Last thing is New York City's big. What's the area like around, or the neighborhood, the area around, like around Columbia? Excuse me. Is it a
So it's the
neighborhood?
Upper
Is it
West
just
Side. So
university? Okay.
Yeah, it's Morningside Heights, right? It's on the border of Harlem and Morningside Heights, and the Upper West Side we're in between Broadway and Amsterdam Ave. Central Park is really close. If any Seinfeld fans, Tom's Restaurant, where they filmed all those Seinfeld scenes when they're in the diner, that's a couple blocks off campus. So it's the Upper West Side of New York City, one of the most sought out neighborhoods probably to live in, and maybe the entire world. So it's a pretty cool area.
Awesome. All right. Well, Donnie, this has been great, man. I appreciate you coming on, and congrats on the success. But I know you're, like you said, you're never satisfied. But I'll
Yeah.
give you the final word. Any parting thoughts?
No, I just Mark, I mean, you've been a great friend of mine for a long time, and I remember when Jeff was just talking about when you first got going at Flow, and you guys are doing amazing things. It's crazy when I look at the find results for dual meets and all these kind of things to see how many events you guys are doing on a daily, weekly basis. It's crazy, whether it's dual meets and tournaments. Like, you guys have blown up wrestling and made it better for everybody in the entire world. So I'm so happy that you're still there and grinding it out. And I know it's not an easy job, and you still seem like you have a lot of fun doing it. So I appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you. Congrats again, and best of luck moving forward. Tell hi to Buxton and Sebastian and
I
everybody
will.
else. All right. Thanks a lot,
All
man. Have a
right.
good one. All right. Bye, Donnie.
All right, buddy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for today. That was Donny Pritzlaff, head coach over at Columbia. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks.